Hello, I'm Pam Iorio. Florida's summers bring sunny weather that both residents and visitors from around the world enjoy. But the same weather systems that bring us sunny days at the beach can also lead to the development of tropical storms and hurricanes. Tampa's emergency management team is taking measures to protect you and your property. We want to make sure you and your families are well prepared in the event a serious storm threatens our area. And to do so, we need your help. We have developed this video as a guide to help you prepare in advance, and it also serves as a resource for additional information. I can assure you that before, during, and after a storm, we at the City of Tampa will be doing everything we can to ensure your safety and to restore all city operations and services as promptly as possible. Please remember, preparation is the key to weathering the storm.
Hello, my name is Bill Wade, and welcome to this special City of Tampa television presentation on storm readiness. Through this show, we want to give you Tampa-specific information about storm readiness. Not only what you should do, but also what your city government does in the wake of a serious storm system. This program will touch on information that will be important to both business owners and residents. Additionally, we will be providing you with phone numbers and web links in case you want more information about a particular topic. For hurricane information on the web, visit the city website at www.tampagov.net. Now, before we start looking into what you should do to prepare for a storm, we thought it important to make sure everyone understood what these storm systems are that we are talking about. To help with our storm understanding, we went to the National Weather Service office in Ruskin.
Everything in tropical cyclones is based on sustained wind speeds. So if we have a tropical depression out there, that means winds are less than 39 miles an hour. It's disorganized. But once it becomes more organized, starts to rotate, winds get to 39 miles an hour, we will name that storm. We will call it a tropical storm, say Arlene. Now, once the winds sustained get to 74 miles an hour, that's a Category 1 hurricane. And once they get to a Category 3 with wind speeds over 110 miles an hour, that's when you get the devastation occurring like what happened in Charlie.
In its most simple form, a disaster plan is deciding now what actions you would need to take as the storm approaches and afterwards. Emergency planners tell us the first step is to look at where you live. What we mean is determine if your home or business is in an evacuation zone. If so, which one? There are many resources out there to help you with this. The Hillsborough County Hurricane Guide, along with various storm guides produced by local television news stations, provides this information. You can also visit the Hurricane Preparation Guide at www.tampagov.net for evacuation information. One other note about evacuation zones: if you live in a trailer or mobile home when a recommended or mandatory evacuation is given for your area, this always includes you and your family. The next step in your disaster plan is to determine where you would go. When a hurricane is threatening, emergency planners try to give up to 36 hours for evacuation. Now, that may seem like a long time, but in fact it is not. If an evacuation is called for and your home or business is affected, you are strongly encouraged to leave early. Sort of a beat the rush mentality. Thanks to the abundant coverage that local news media would give to any storm that would threaten Tampa, you would probably know many days in advance that a storm might be coming. Now, if you took our first piece of advice and you knew whether or not your area was in a high likelihood of needing to be evacuated, then you would be ahead of the rest in your planning, and you could get out early.
Emergency management evacuates for storm surge because we want people to run from the water and hide from the wind. Now, if you live in a manufactured home, you also have to evacuate for wind, even well inland, say in Polk County, in Lakeland.
Of course, then the question comes up, where should you and your family go? Once again, a little pre-planning here will pay off. It is suggested that you travel as little as possible. Most emergency planners suggest that you go to the home of a family member or friends who live outside the evacuation area. Some people plan to use hotels outside the area, but remember, a lot of them are busy, especially during peak tourist seasons and the few available rooms can quickly fill up. You can use a public shelter, but that isn't always the best first option. More about shelters later. In the most basic of family disaster plans, there needs to be a contact plan. What we mean is have a way for family members that might get separated during an evacuation to contact each other. Typically, all local family members should agree to have an out-of-town relative be the primary contact point. Remember, if a hurricane strikes Tampa, electrical power, phone lines, and cellular phone service will all be interrupted for days, maybe even weeks. But if the local family all agrees to stay in touch with, say, Aunt Mabel out in Tucson, then messages about where you are and how you are doing can be relayed back and forth. That gives me another idea. It might be wise to have a prepaid phone card available for each family member. This will make calling Aunt Mabel much easier. Let's not forget to plan for our furry and feathered family friends also. To find out what we can do to plan for our pets, we visited Bill Armstrong at Hillsborough County Animal Services.
Well, the first thing you need to do is to figure out where you can take your pet. Most public shelters in the Tampa Bay area do not allow pets. They allow some service animals, such as dogs for the hearing impaired, but they don't allow normal pets in there. So you have to find a place to take your pet, whether it's a dog or a cat or a bird. We recommend that you first look at, do you have relatives or good friends in the area that would allow you and your pets to go stay with them if they're in an area that doesn't have to be evacuated and they live in a sound structure. That's probably the best option. If you don't have friends or relatives that will take you and your pets in, then you can look for pet-friendly motels that will take pets in. And we found that during the storms of last year that some motel or hotel chains that normally don't allow pets will change those restrictions and allow you to bring a pet. They may charge a non-refundable deposit and may require that the animals be crated or in some type of container. But many people found refuge in motels and hotels throughout the area, and they were able to take their pets with them.
For more information, visit the Hurricane Preparation Guide at www.tampagov.net. There are a couple of other quick ideas we wanted you to have for your storm planning. If you haven't done so already, for insurance purposes, consider inventorying your property. This can be done by taking pictures or making a video recording. Store this inventory along with important papers such as insurance, car titles, and house deeds. Keep these items in a safe place. Maybe even consider sending a copy to an out-of-town relative to hold on to it for you. That way, if your copy gets lost or damaged, Aunt Mabel in Tucson has you covered. The National Weather Service also recommends that you have an all-hazards radio in your house.
Every hurricane kit should have a NOAA weather radio. It's an all-hazards warning system. It's a smoke alarm for natural and man-made hazards. It will go off automatically for any county you program it for. If there's a tornado warning, if there is a hurricane evacuation, if a train wreck causes a large chemical spill, your emergency manager can turn that radio on any time of the day or night and let you know about it.
For business owners, all of these family disaster plan tips are good for you too. Businesses should know where to go and what to do with their inventory in case a storm threatens. Also, important data such as billing records, business contacts, and the like should be frequently backed up out of the area. Look at your business and decide what you need to open up after a storm strikes our area, and then make plans to protect those items now. Now that you have a disaster plan, you need a kit to go with it. This kit will have some of the basic items necessary to help you and your family weather the days after the storm. Remember, the items suggested for your disaster kit will be in high demand a couple of days before a storm strikes. Buying them now makes sure that as a storm approaches, you don't have to rush out to the store just to find empty shelves. Also, plan to take some, if not all of your kit with you if you decide to or have to evacuate. Water is one of the most basic and necessary items that you should have on hand. Emergency planners recommend that you have at least 1 gallon per person a day available. And on this item, a 2-week supply is also suggested. Now, you don't have to go out and commercially purchase your drinking water. Simply rinse out an old soda bottle and use it. It is suggested that the bottle have a tight seal and that you use a marker, such as this one, to write the word water on the bottle and also the date. Then just store it in a cool, dry place. One last note about storing water, whether you buy it commercially or bottle it yourself. It is important to know that the water does not go bad, but the plastic can break down over time. It is suggested that you replace your supply about once a year. We've got some water, now how about food? The disaster kit should have at least 3 days worth of non-perishable foods. That means foods that do not require refrigeration to store. In case you don't remember or were not here during the 2004 storm season, many residents went without electricity for several days, and that is the norm. In your disaster kits, such things as canned meats and dried fruits are recommended. Peanut butter, crackers, granola bars, and trail mix also do well. The Hurricane Preparedness Guide at www.tampagov.net has many other items that should be in your family's disaster kit. There are even reminders to consider adults who are on special diets and food for young children and infants. Oh, and by the way, some comfort foods such as chocolates are okay. After all, this is a stressful time. In the kit, you will also want cooking and eating tools that do not require electricity or water. A manual can opener, such as this. Plastic utensils, paper plates, and paper cups will also be helpful. For heating foods, some families have a camping stove or a grill. Just a friendly reminder, use these items outside in a safe manner. We don't want anyone filling their home with carbon monoxide from the charcoal or gas grill. One last thought, if the power goes out at your house after a hurricane, eat the perishable items in your refrigerator first. This will help extend your disaster kit supplies by another day or so. www.tampagov.net has many other items that should be in your family's disaster kit, including flashlights, portable radios, and plenty of spare batteries. As a fire safety official, I strongly discourage the use of candles and open flames to light your home. A first aid kit, bug repellent, and paper products such as paper towels and toilet paper should also be included. Remember, you and your family will have some time to pass without the benefit of televisions and other electronics, so consider packing some board games or cards to help you spend the time. Now, we have not forgotten about that furry family member that needs some things in his disaster kit too. Bill Armstrong with Hillsborough County Animal Control has some great recommendations for planning with pets.
Well, you need to think through all the types of things your pet's going to encounter for the next 2 weeks. Is your pet on medications? If so, you need a 2-week or more longer supply of medications. They need to be current on all their vaccinations and have proof of rabies vaccination. And of course, they should be registered with your local county or city so that they're registered and in the system. Any special foods and at least a 2-week supply of dog food and also bottled water. You need a dish. And if you've got canned food, make sure you have a regular manual can opener because electricity probably won't be around if we have a hurricane like the ones that passed through many of our communities last year. You need to have a leash. If the animal is aggressive, you need to have a muzzle. We highly recommend that everyone who has a pet that they give any caring about is to have that animal microchipped. And the microchip is a wonderful way to protect your pet from becoming lost and never getting back to you, because the microchip is a device that will provide someone that can read that, such as an animal shelter. Many veterinarians will be able to find out where that microchip was implanted and what client was its dog that the chip went into, and we can get the pet back to you.
Now, if you keep your boat at a marina, check with that marina staff for things that you can do to ready your boat in case a storm is coming. We went and spoke with Alan Draffin, a sergeant with the Tampa Police Marine Unit, and he had some tips for readying a boat for hurricanes.
People should take their precautions early, watch the weather. As the storm gets closer, the conditions are going to deteriorate rapidly, and when that happens, it may become much more difficult and not necessarily safe to be out on the docks and out on the water securing your boat. So you want to get out there, take care of the boat early, tie it off securely on the bow and on the stern. If you can do a four-way tie-off on your boat, that's the preferred method. If your boat's on a trailer, you want to tie your boat to the trailer. You can use hurricane anchors around your trailer, put those into the ground that people get from mobile homes. Some of the smaller boats, you can put water inside the boat as well. One concern with that, you need to be careful that you don't overweight the boat with rain and everything else. If you fill your boat with water on a trailer, the rain could come in, fill it up even more, and then you could crack your axle on your trailer. So you need to be careful with that.
If you're a homeowner, you might also want to look around your yard to see if there's any tree trimming that needs to be done. The Tampa Parks Department has some tips for you.
Do you know that trees serve as windbreaks to protect our homes during the storm season? Now, in preparation for the hurricane season, which we're in, you need to prune only dead, damaged, or dying limbs, and never remove primary limbs that come off the main stem because they're important to the weight balance of the tree. For more information, contact your city forester.
At the first hint that a storm may be approaching Tampa, this is the time to check and replenish your disaster kit. Charcoal and gas for the grill, check. Batteries, flashlights, check. And something we have not mentioned before, a 2-week supply of prescribed medication. Now this is also the time that you're going to have to look at how you're going to secure your home, placing coverings over your windows, reinforcing your garage door. You also want to consider moving inside anything that could become flying debris, such as lawn furniture, trash cans, wind chimes, bird feeders, and lawn gnomes. If you have a pool, leave it filled as normal and consider superchlorinating it. A tropical system such as a hurricane is going to dump a lot of rainwater into your pool. Also, during a hurricane watch, remember that after the storm, normal services are going to be disrupted for several days. So go out and fill up your car with gasoline and get a few extra dollars as ATM and credit card machines may be down. For more suggestions about what to do if a hurricane watch is issued for Tampa, refer to one of these storm guides or visit our website at www.tampagov.net. Remember, if you live in an area that's under a recommended or mandatory evacuation, you should prepare to leave. Also, mobile homes are always included in early evacuation orders. Other than this, if you live in a solid home outside of the evacuation zone and you are prepared to ride out the storm, take your final preparation steps now. Secure the windows, clean and fill the bathtub with fresh water, and ready your disaster kit. Remember, after the storm, you may have to be self-sufficient for several days. One other thing to think about, if you have family or friends in an evacuation zone, you might want to open your home as a shelter for them. No matter where you stay during the height of the storm when the winds are howling, emergency services will be sheltering themselves and have very little ability to respond to help you. Police Chief Hogue explains.
We have a full deployment of police officers on the street until the winds get to a dangerous level. At that point, we pull off a lot of our resources off of the street and then only respond to those very serious emergencies. Use 911 anytime that you have an emergency, even during the storm. We will analyze the call to determine whether it is a real life-threatening emergency that we need to be sending a police officer to and risking their lives. So I would ask the public not to call just because it's a routine call that they want to call the police during those times, but in fact to make them real emergencies.
During the storm, stay inside away from windows. You should await official word the storm is past. In a hurricane, there's an area called the eye, the center of the storm where things are calm for a brief while. During this brief calm, storm experts recommend that you go outside only to do emergency repairs to your property. Other than this, stay inside. Closely monitor television and radio news reports, as these will be the best way to keep up with what's going on in your community. If the electrical power goes out at your house, Tampa Electric has several recommendations for you.
In most cases, if your power has been out for an extended amount of time, you have to remember that whatever was on when the power went out, that appliance, that stove, those lights are going to come back on. After you've had a power outage, the best thing to do is go in and turn your breakers off. Leave them off until you know that you've gotten power back. A good way to do that is to leave a porch light on. Leave that switch on and leave that breaker on, so when the power comes back on, you can see it. What people don't realize is if you were using your stove and the power went out, and now it's out for 2 or 3 days, when the power comes back on, the stove is coming back on. If you've used that for a storage area now, and you've got plates, paper plates, plastic, and those kind of things on top of that stove, and you're not home, and we energize the house again, that's going to come on, it's going to start whatever on top of that stove on fire, and now it could burn your house down.
One quick note about the use of sandbags to keep floodwaters out of your home. People have been known to wait in line for hours to get their city issue of 10 sandbags, when in reality, all they needed was a shovel and some trash bags. Simply shovel some dirt into these plastic bags, seal them, and you've got your sandbag. Now, the city has researched other ways by which to seal your home from flooding. Let's take a look.
For many years in Tampa, hurricane preparation has included sandbagging. The Stormwater Department is on scene demonstrating ways you can protect your home during flooding. The Stormwater Department built earthen berms to concentrate water around the entry points of a home. Reclaimed water simulated flooding conditions. Tampa residents should always have a hurricane preparation kit ready for action. Products you may want to purchase in advance include expanding foam sealant, plastic sheeting, marine-grade plywood. The flood wall is the most practical because you can open the door after flooding and step over the wall.
As Keith has demonstrated, building the flood wall effectively held back the water. Sandbagging is the least effective method to protect your home from flooding. They're heavy, cumbersome, and they don't create a tight seal.
Sandbags are more likely to slow the penetration of water than to prevent it. As you can see, the water will get through when floodwater pushes towards your door. Expanding foam sealant is recommended by experts.
This product, used in conjunction with plastic sheeting, creates a tight seal on the outside of a door.
Apply the foam to the door frame. The plastic should be adhered to the foam sealant quickly while it is still tacky. The product requires 8 hours to cure completely. This method should only be used on the exterior of the door as you evacuate. While the foam and plastic combine to make an effective sealant, there is a bit of cleanup required afterward. As you can see from the tests we've run today, sandbags are the least effective method to protect your home. When you prepare for the next storm, consider the tight seal accomplished with foam and plastic, as well as the effectiveness of the flood wall to keep water out.
If you live in an evacuation zone or in a mobile home, you really need to plan now for where you will go should a storm threaten Tampa. Try to travel as little as possible, and try to travel early to avoid the rush. If possible, make arrangements to stay with a friend or relative who lives outside the evacuation area. If you're going to check into a hotel, you better check for availability first and register well in advance of evacuating, as most lodging fills quickly. Take your disaster kit with you. Just because you're going to a non-evacuation zone does not mean the power won't be knocked out. Having your own food, water, blankets, pillows will make you much more comfortable and prepared. Also, don't forget clothing changes, toiletries, prescriptions, and other personal needs. You will also want to take important documents with you, such as driver's licenses, insurance papers, and your home property inventory. Hey, remember Aunt Mabel in Tucson? It's time to get her involved. Let family and trusted friends know what your plans are. Emergency planners want you to know that during a storm, public shelters are more like a lifeboat than a cruise ship. They will be safe and keep you dry, but the comfort level will be pretty minimal. For a list of public shelters in your area, visit our website at www.tampagov.net or refer to one of these planning guides. Remember, shelters are open based on the storm's severity and how it seems the Tampa Bay area will be impacted. Not all shelters will be opened with each approaching storm. Listen to local radio and television news reports to determine if the closest shelter to you is open. Hillsborough County opens one special needs shelter for those persons who need medically related care. The special needs shelter does not provide acute medical care, like a hospital. If you have someone in your family, such as an elderly person or a person with serious chronic medical conditions, you must pre-register for the special needs shelter now. For more information, call 813-307-8015, extension 6006, the Hillsborough County Health Department, to pre-register for the special needs shelter. After the storm has passed, fire rescue personnel, working with many other city agencies, will quickly move into damaged areas. In addition to looking for trapped or injured persons, one of the first priorities will be to clear the roads of downed trees and power lines. Now, this process may take several hours to several days, depending on the amount of damage inflicted on your neighborhood. Not all evacuation areas will be immediately accessible after the storm passes.
If Tampa experiences severe flooding, we will be closing off sections of the town, and then we will have a system in place for getting back to your home after the storm is over. It is very important that the citizenry either call the police department or listen to public service announcements to find out where the location will be, where they can go and get a pass to go back into a restricted area. They will need to have a valid ID with them at the time.
For general information about the recovery efforts, call the Citizen Response Center at 813-272-6900. Also during this time, resist the urge to go out and sightsee. There will be a lot of road hazards that could disable your car or injure you. Tampa Electric wants everyone to be especially alert for downed power lines after a hurricane.
During the storm or after the storm, if you come up on any power line, do not think that that power line is dead. Just because it's not sparking or arcing, it may not be dead. At any time, a customer puts in a generator and picks the line up, that line could become energized. Just make sure that if you've got lines down, you try to contact us as quickly as we can. We'll try to get somebody out there and confirm that it is dead or is grounded, or we can disconnect it where it's not on the ground, but that may take some time.
As a reminder, most hurricane-related deaths occur due to fresh water flooding. Do not drive through any standing water that you do not know the depth of. Also, do not allow children to play or swim in floodwater. Not only can they be swept away by moving currents, but also the water can have bacteria or other pollutants that can make people sick. A hurricane will cause lots of damage and debris to be laying around. As soon as possible, Tampa will have crews out to pick up this debris.
Hi, I'm David McCary. Immediately after a storm hits the city of Tampa, we automatically go into our recovery mode. We continue to follow our emergency management plan, and you will actually see equipment such as this, our lightning loader, that will be deployed to your neighborhoods. Right after the storm, we ask that your branches and tree limbs and brush be placed out in no more than 5-foot lengths. After the storm, we don't expect you to tie it. If you have C&D or construction debris, separate that from your yard waste debris, as well as your regular garbage. Place it out to the curb. Make sure that there's no obstructions whatsoever that will prevent us from picking it up in a safe manner.
Depending on how badly the hurricane strikes Tampa, relief stations for emergency medical care, food, housing assistance, and many other human needs will be set up in town. Keep in touch with what's going on in Tampa by listening to local radio and television programming.
For the past few minutes, you've been watching the City of Tampa special on hurricane preparedness. We hope that you gained some idea on what you should be doing to help your family prepare in case a hurricane or any other disaster should strike our community. Long before a storm threatens Tampa, please make sure you have a family disaster plan and all of the appropriate items for a family disaster kit. Please visit our website at tampagov.net for more details on the simple steps that you can take to prepare now. In Tampa, police, fire rescue, and hundreds of other city workers will be ready to help you should a storm strike. It may take days or even weeks and months to return our community to normal, but with your help, taking the proper steps now to plan and take care of your family, we will all be better prepared during those particularly tough hours and days after a hurricane strike. On a personal note, my family have been Tampa natives for 4 generations. We have seen many storms come and go, but we've never seen anything like the 2004 hurricane season. And forecasters are predicting an increase in storm activity for many years to come. As Mayor Iorio said at the beginning of this program, preparation is the key to weathering the storm.